Hey everyone, it's Katie again. Today I decided to make another flower. Since we're doing this 30-day cane challenge, I might as well keep up making canes. I never used to make a lot of canes, but I'm actually getting into this cane challenge thing. I'm kind of having fun with it. I think that's the whole point, is to have fun with it. But anyways, I'm going to make a yellow flower. I have a project in mind, so I want to do a different color. So I started out with, this is a mix of Sculpey 3. It's like the cad yellow, but I didn't have a bunch of cad yellow. So, and then I mixed a little Kato yellow and a little bit of brown into it to get a darker yellow. Just get a dark yellow, however you do that. And I mean, when I'm talking a little bit of brown, I did a little bit. Then this is the Primo, I think it's called Sunshine Yellow, and then Primo White. And that's going to be my 3-color Skinner blend. And I'm going to start off by doing a teardrop Skinner blend, because that's generally how I do Skinner blends. And I never take my Skinner blends down too far, I find. I just get too impatient. And I got something on there. So first thing I'm going to do is just flatten this out, because it's way too thick to fit my pasta machine right now. So this is how I do my Skinner blends, and I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing, and just a couple beginning parts. And then I'm going to do, I do one fold by hand. Stick that back on there, get off my finger. Okay, and I'll fold it one more time. Just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to run this through my pasta machine from here to here, multiple times, folding the same way, where I have dark yellow on one side, white on the other side, until I get a blend that I'm happy with. Again, this is all your choice. There are tons of videos out on Skinner blends, so I'm going to do that, and I'll be back when I'm done with my Skinner blend. Okay, so here's my Skinner blend. I'm fairly happy with that. You know, you can continue taking it down more, but I'm going to end there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it into a long, skinny strip like we do with most of our canes. The way I do this is by cutting it into kind of equal sections. I usually flip the cut on the cut part. It's Friday night, and I'm on vacation next week. I'm not going anywhere. It's going to be a staycation, but my office is closed for the week. We're getting new paint and carpet in there. I'm so excited. Or flooring. They're taking old carpet out and putting in laminate. I'm thrilled. So this video is going to be uploaded after I get back from vacation, because my internet at home, for a while I was trying to upload them at home, the videos, and they would take like 48 hours for a 20-minute video to upload. And half the time my stuff would error before it even finished. So I gave up for a while, and then I figured out it's because I live out in the boondocks in the middle of nowhere, and our internet's pretty slow. So I decided to do it at work, and I can upload an hour video in 4 hours at work, which isn't too bad. So that's why most of my videos won't have a title, it won't have descriptions or anything like that until after, when I edit them. Same with the picture is just whatever that pops up, and then I'll deal with it later when I get home at some point. But this one will sit on my phone until I get back to work in a week. Anyways, this is my little snake, and what I'm doing is just pulling on it, thinning out so it can fit through my pasta machine at size 0, the 0 setting to start. So let me quickly run that through on 0. And you always want to run through, when you're lengthening your strip, you want to run through from your darkest color to your lightest color. That way, if your sludge in your pasta machine happens to get stuck to a color, it most likely will get stuck here rather than here. So I'm going to run this through from here to here. We're not widening it, we want to make it longer. Now, doing these get really difficult if you don't have a motor, because already, how long is this thing? This thing's 12 inches. Already my strip is probably 16 inches, and so it's hard to crank it and hold it to keep it from sticking, especially in the summertime when it's so hot that everything wants to stick. I've actually had my fiance help me crank while I hold it. So I'm going to run this through down to my thinnest usable setting, and we're going to make a bullseye cane after that. You know, your thinnest usable setting may be different than mine, and mine's different from day to day as well, because it gets too sticky some days, or depending on the clay I'm using, it's too soft or sticky. So whatever setting you feel like, oh, if I run that through one more time, it's going to go through my machine and get too stuck together, I won't be able to use it. So again, run this through to your thinnest usable setting. And honestly today, because it's almost 90 degrees and super humid here, my thinnest setting on my Atlas 150, starting at a 0, is the thickest. I could only get it down to a 4. I don't have a spare set of hands with me right now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to struggle with it, trying to get it thinner. So starting with the white, we want to roll this up into a bullseye cane. So, you know, really just flatten your end, get it to get all the air out of your end, and then kind of just gradually roll it. Trying to keep it as even as you can. And as tight as you can. This is fairly easy for most people, I'd assume. Can't see this being too difficult. Now, if this part of the sheet here gets wider, then just push down harder. If it gets skinnier, pinch it in and then roll. So try to keep it roughly all the same length, and that way you don't waste too much of your clay. Try to keep it fairly even as well. Like I have one part that got really skinny because it was dangling in my skinner, or in my pasta machine here. So I'm going to try to make it a little skinnier for that section. And then I'll push down and kind of widen it out. And this is a lot more clay than I generally tend to use. I tend not to use that much. So I hope I like this one and this color combo. So right now that is our blend. And just roll it just to get your everything smushed together well. And then with looking at your best side, you know, because this side's a little funky, we want to cut this up. So we're going to just mark it. We're going to do half. My fiance is getting in the shower. Just got home from work. Half, okay. Half of that. And half of that. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 roughly even pieces. And again, if you have trouble marking it, take your line at the top and just bring it down. So say we have a line here, bring it down there. We have a line here, bring it down. And this can give you a guide on where to cut when you're going down the side so you don't end up going super crazy. Oh, now I got a little crooked. Okay, so now you have all these marks, so when you're cutting across the top, you can kind of follow your marks. And not all the triangles are going to be perfect, and that is fine. I'm going to use my thin tissue blade because that was a thick one, and I tend to use a thin one. So as I'm going through, I'm going to line my tops up, and then I'm going to seesaw and make sure, and whatever side I'm seesawing to, I'm going to make sure I'm in my line as much as I can be. And that's just a trick to help you cut. And to try to cut straight. Also, if you pull out and put a little tension on it, it'll help you not flex the blade. Okay, so we did that one and that one. So make a plus and then make an X, pretty much. Okay, it's super hot today, super sticky. As you can tell from my other videos, it's kind of frustrating. Okay, so now we have a bunch of pieces. And I'm going to pull them apart. And then we're going to start assembling them, okay? And we're going to be assembling them opposites. So if we go like this, we're going to do this. So just opposite, and we're going to make like a row. So try to get them even. Look at both sides. So look at this edge, and then look at this edge before you stick together. And then again, we're going to do opposites. I'm just going to lengthen this one just a hair because it was a little short. Okay. See what I'm doing here? And we're just going to make a long row like this. And I did not say, which I want to say right now, if you're doing this along with me, get a piece of your darkest color. Sorry, I should have said that in the beginning. Set aside a hunk of your darkest color. Or make another little, you don't need a lot, but just a little bit of it. And then one more. I don't know if you just heard him blowing his nose. He works construction, so I don't know if any of you have ever like swept your garage or worked outside, but you get crazy stuff in your nose. He drives like dump trucks and works excavators and bulldozers and heavy equipment. So this is what we have right now. What we're going to do next is we're going to cut off one of the bottom ends of it. And you can either lay it down like this, if this is easier, or up like this. I'm thinking it's going to get squished a little bit, so hopefully not too bad. Just cut a little of this dark off. And you could actually probably use that if it doesn't have too much white in it as your next part. Okay, so this is again what we have right here. Okay. And we're going to make this a smaller square. So we're going to now change these shapes, and we're going to push it this way and make it taller, or, you know, we're going to make it narrower and longer. Okay, so we're going to do that by, and go slowly with this. Don't be over crazy. You want to take your time, you know, do some pulling to get it to lengthen, some pressing, as much as you can. The faster you go, the more distortion you will have. So try to be light-handed. Try not to be too heavy-handed. Someone mentioned that in one of my groups today, that they're too heavy-handed. I mean, you can be heavy-handed. I mean, if that's your thing and you struggle with being light-handed, well then just do it how you do it, and you'll just have an excess color. And that's, like in this case, it'll be a light yellow. It's not a huge deal. So I'm just, you know, pushing. I'm kind of pushing through the middles here, because right now it's just a square block. I'm pushing through the middles, and I'm pulling out that way, and I'm going to push down on the ends, or take my fingers and push. However you want to do this, you can do this. Doesn't really matter. Flip it and do both sides for sure. Again, pull it, and start in the middle and work your way out. And I've only made this type once before. I liked how it came out. It just came out quite dark, because I used black and a dark red. I think it was Kato red, but it was, for some reason, it just, the contrast wasn't there. I mean, it didn't look bad, just the contrast wasn't what I was looking for in that case, at least. I mean, because if we're going to make petals out of this, we got to get it reduced the other way anyways. So I'm going to continue doing this. You can use your roller a little bit if it's happening unevenly. You know, take it to the sides. That can also help. Be gentle when you're going to this tall side. And that's, with this color set, the yellow, white, you want a 3-color Skinner blend, ideally. So whether you use black, you know, pink and white, you know, black, red, and light, and pink, black, purple, and lilac, you know, stuff like that. You don't always need to use black and white in it. Just a dark color, a medium color, and a light color. And that should be kind of what you need for your blend. Am I reducing this the wrong way? Hang on one second. So I got really confused I got distracted by talking on what way I was doing this. And so it is the right way. I'm doing it the right way. But if you ever get confused by your ends, you're like, what is going on here? Just take a peek at it. So again, I'm going to continue pushing, pulling, lengthening, shortening, flattening, doing the whole things, flipping it around, doing other sides. Don't just work on one side. Don't just work with one hand, because one hand can be stronger than the other hand. I learned that from Miss Fiona Bill Smith. So just keep working on it until you get it into a nice square. About like what size square you would usually use. I don't know, maybe something like this, or two of the, you know, not two of these, but maybe one of these ish. On my squares on here, 1-inch square. So when I finish that, I'll be back. Sorry, I meant to hit pause on my TV and then play on my video, but I did that backwards. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to use this little sheet down here to measure. We're going to cut this in half. And I'm not going to cut off my ends because I find you get more waste. You just want to guesstimate what your waste is and then roughly cut it in half. So this is 1, 2, 3, maybe like somewhere around maybe that looks something like half, so I'll cut that in half. Okay, and we're going to take it down more, but so far that's what that looks like. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to wrap the 2 outer sides and 1 in the dark color here. So I took my dark color, let me pull this back in. Oh, don't drop it on the floor. Dog hair will get all over it. Okay, so we're going to wrap just on one of the middles. So I'll take one of the middles. I flattened out my dark color, and it's on the thinnest setting I could get for my jelly roll. So it's on a 4. You don't want it on a super thick because you don't want to notice it that much. So whether I go this way, I'll probably get more if I go this way. Okay. It's weird because this camera's right in front of my face. So I have to like dodge it to look around it. Let me take the good end. And you're going to lay it in here. And you don't need one, if you're going to put them together in the middle, like this, you don't need one on each of the middle, if that makes sense. You just need one middle. And I'm going to cut a little of that off because that's my excess there, and I don't want to. Okay, so then again, try to find where you cut off your light and where you have your dark. And we'll put that together. So sticky. Every time you just barely touch it to each other, it just like wants to stick. Okay, and then we're going to do one here and one here. So I'm going to do those same things, and I'll be right back and I'll show you that. Okay, this is what we have, and now we're going to reduce exactly the same. We're going to again make it longer, and we're going to make it narrower so that we can cut petal shapes. And whenever you do canes like these, flower canes, you can make them, you know, let me grab one that I just did. You can make them 5, or you can make them 6. I tend to do 6. Those were just end canes. I tend to do 6 because I have an easier time filling and reducing 6 petals. So I'll probably get this long enough so I can at least cut 6 1-inch pieces off of it. Especially when it's hot like this, you can do a lot of pulling. on your cane to really get it to go where you want it to go. And then when it gets a little wonky, you can use your roller just a hair to flatten it out. And stand it up and roll. It'll be gentle when it's tall like this. And here we're going to roll. And this takes a while to get this down to the right size. This is going to take a while, especially when I'm using this much clay. Usually I don't know why I did, but I did. So I'm going to, it's so sticking my tile. I'm going to keep reducing this until I get enough to at least cut 6 pieces from it, okay? I'm trying to keep it even on the end and not pulling too much on the sides. Okay, I will be back when I'm done that part because I want to get it down to where I can cut 6, as I just said like 15 times. And I will be back. Okay, so I think I have enough here. Let's see, I'm going to cut off my excess, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to cut this off here, and I'm going to take a peek just to see if I have enough. So let's cut this one off. Let's cut, I got quite a bit of distortion. It's just too hot. But you can see, even with the distortion, what we're ending up with here. And I know the yellow gets faint, but let me see if I can edit the tone so you can actually, you can't. The yellow goes down quite far, but the bright yellow is kind of not showing up great on camera. So anyways, that's what we have. That one's still a little distorted, but I'm not really going to cut it off anymore. And maybe I'll roll it one more time just to get it, because if you look at it this way, this side's skinnier than this side, so maybe I'll try to just get this even. Roll this gently. Let's see if I can even it up a little bit. Even from the top. Okay, now we're going to cut 6 pieces because we need to, oh, fly on my hand. I'm going to do 6 petals, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay. So I'm going to cut out 6 pieces of this. Okay, that's on autofocus. One, two, so sticky. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we need to shape these into petal shapes so we can put them together. And I could have made this center line a little bit thinner, I guess. It seems to be standing out a lot in this one, but flowers are organic, so it doesn't really matter. So, you know, decide, do you want the darker more in the middle, the lighter, because you have more dark on this side than this side. So you kind of have to make those kind of decisions now. Which one do you want to be the point? What one do you want to be the round? I think I want this part to be the round and this part to be the point. So just begin, you know, pinching them in, make a triangle. Try not to lengthen them too much, so keep your finger on the end. Or don't push down, just kind of pull into each other. Like that. There's a fly down here and it's bugging me. Okay, and then we're going to round off the top, and you can do that many ways, but I wouldn't pinch it in because it'll bring these pieces together. I just try to more push on the end and push it, make it round, make it blunt your corner a little bit. And you can also put it on your tile and give it a little, I like that. Okay. I almost like it with that indent in the middle. I might backfill it like that. Okay, so I'm going to do pretty much the same exact things with the with each other one here. Pinch, I'll do one more so you can see it. That one's way shorter, but it might end up getting longer. So I'm going to pinch in, or maybe that one's just longer than the other ones. Yeah, I think that one was just longer than the other ones. Which is fine, because then I can cut it down. So pinch in the bottom, make sure you're pinching in the right color. Okay, and then kind of try to blunt these edges. Just flattening it on my tile a little bit. I'm trying to get the point side a little straighter, so I'm just gently pushing it against my tile. Okay. And that's what we'll start to have. So I'm going to do the rest with the other ones, and then I'll be back when I'm done with those. I have to say, this may look cute as like a 4-petal cane. You know, just a little 4-petal. Just thought of that while I was doing this. I'm going to finish the rest, but once I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks kind of cute. After I shape them, I may let this rest a little while because it's just getting so soft. But I'll keep going with the other two. Okay, so we're done with that part. Now you would look at it and decide, you know, if you like it or not. The easiest way to get together 6 petals is by putting 3 together and then 3 together. And then adding your center. I've found, for me, that's the best way I've found. But I think it's so hot that this is going to get kind of wonky if I keep playing with it to 1, put in a center, and to 2, backfill it. I'm going to get rid of these like indents here and stuff. So I'll probably let this rest. You guys won't know that because in 2 seconds I'll pop back up, but just so you know what I'm doing, I'm going to probably let this rest because, again, it's summertime. I mean, if it was winter I wouldn't, but in the summertime I might need to. But if you look at it, once we kind of get this all together, that's what it's going to look like. And I got to decide what I want to put in, what color I want to put in the center, whether I use maybe the dark with a little bit of brown just to make it like a dark yellow in there. Maybe that's what I'll do. Okay, so I'm going to let these rest anyways for just a little while, and then I'll get my center color ready, you know, think about that, and I'll be back. Okay, so I took a piece of brown and I kind of set it all together. And then one other little thing I just quickly did is I took some kind of round thing, you could use the end of a paintbrush, and kind of made these little indents slightly more defined. Okay? They don't all need to be exactly the same because flowers are organic, so the more similar they are, the more unnatural I guess it looks. This one looks a little crooked. I don't know if I'll be able to get it. Yeah, let me see if I can get these guys apart. I think it's that one that's crooked, but whatever. Okay, so that's where we have. And now at this point, all we're going to do is backfill. In my mind, I was just thinking, you know what would look cool? I mean, and it's hard on camera for you to see all the fine yellow, because white and yellow, I mean, the light yellow goes all the way down through here. One comes up to touch this one here. So I can see the light yellow really well, but on camera you guys can't see it really great. Let me see if I can change the angle to where you can. It's almost looking like a neon-y type yellow. See one right here? goes all the way up to there, is making this something like this, like a translucent one. So I may come up with a translucent flower that looks similar to this. I think that would look cool, now that I'm thinking about it, with some slight modifications. So that I may do another tutorial on. So now we need to backfill with translucent and fill all these, so that way when we reduce this as a circle, this holds the shape that we want. So I'm going to grab some translucent. Again, I'm probably going to let this rest. I don't even know what time it is right now. I think it's like 9 o'clock at night on Friday. So I'll let this rest probably till tomorrow, and then I'll come back and backfill it. If your clay's doing fine, you have the time, and it's not too soft, you can begin doing it just by holding it. I'm like indenting it. So I'm going to let this rest, and tomorrow's supposed to be even hotter, but oh well. So I'll be back, and for you, the magic of camera, it's going to just be a second, and we'll fill this. Okay, so it's been a few hours, and while I've been watching other tutorials, I've been backfilling my cane, but I left one area completely free so I can show you guys. So I'm using Prima White Translucent, because that's usually what I tend to buy. I don't tend to buy the regular translucent. I like the white better. It just doesn't have has less of a yellow tone. And basically, sorry, my dogs are kind of getting pissy over a bone. One wants it, one won't let the other have it. So I tend to backfill with sausages. You can backfill with triangles, whatever works best for you. I make little sausages. I do like how there's an indent at the tip of each petal, so I'm going to keep those. So I'm just going to make a little sausage. I flattened it out slightly. Each one's a different size. I didn't cut it from a uniform snake, and that way it will be very organic. And I'm just going to... Hang on, let me deal with them. That's ridiculous. Sorry about that. Older brother is guarding the bone, and he doesn't even want to chew on it. So yeah, I just set it in there, and that way it'll hold the kind of heart-shaped end. And then down in the middle, I'm going to first make kind of a narrow sausage. I'm going to kind of make it into a little triangle by pinching with my fingers and pushing down. This way, yeah, it takes a little while, you know, and it takes a little while to make each individual triangle, but with this way, I do it when I'm watching TV. So set that, or tutorials, or listening to my audiobooks, or whatever I feel like doing. It's kind of a no-brainer thing, so you don't really have to think about it when you're doing it. I've just been sitting here watching a tutorial by Fiona. I don't know if it's Abel Smith or Abel. I've just been watching a tutorial that she did on her flower pots. I like listening to her voice. So I'm just going to continue just making little sausages and laying them in there. Again, however you want to do this, feel free to do this. We just got to backfill. And yes, it always takes up a bunch of translucent. It's just the way backfilling is if you're going to do it with translucent. I mean, if you're going to do it with color, it's going to take the same amount. It's just a color. Backfilling is backfilling, and I'm just rolling out little sausages and laying them in. Need a little bit more. I haven't really conditioned this. I don't usually condition it. I just kind of work with it, and as I work with a little bit of it, it gets soft and softer and softer. So I'm going to keep laying these in here. I know this is kind of boring, you can fast forward, but I do want to show it for people who want to see it, so that's why I left one free. I do have a needle tool here, or some sort of like needle tool that I'll use just to gently, because you don't want to kind of mess with your shapes, but just gently kind of, sorry, so I'm going to move this because I'm sitting here with my, smoosh them down, tuck them together type thing. See, he actually wanted to chew the bone. And once I get it almost to the height of the tips of the petals, then I'll take a little sheet, which is what I have rolled out here, whatever thickness, doesn't really matter, and I'll lay that on top. So in just a second. So I'm trying to keep it fairly even. That's what I'm looking for, is like for it to be fairly even across, just with little sausages. This is kind of a, like I said, a no-brainer thing. Just lay your sausages on. It's not really anything very spectacular, but for any beginners out there, this is the way I do it. And there's a lot of ways to backfill. But I don't want to sit there and shape a triangle and try to get it perfect, and then it doesn't get perfect, and then I gotta round it, or I gotta make it pointier, or this and that. I just do this because then I don't have to really focus on it. I can be looking at something else, listening to something else, doing something else, and just be laying on sausages like this. So then I'll take a little strip of the sheet that I have rolled out. I think it's on like a 4 or 5, but again, it doesn't matter. Just to get myself a kind of a more uniform layer. And I'm going to put that on here. It was a little narrow, but that's okay. I'll take my little guy and flatten it off. And then generally I put roughly 2 more sausages just on the end to fill those ones in there. So that's what I'll do next. Put one there. Maybe even a little skinnier one there. I want to do the other side first. Yeah, I need a little skinnier because there's like a little indent right there. So I'll get even a skinnier one. If it will roll out skinny enough without breaking. If you stick it on, you usually can pull down with your finger and stretch it and lengthen it. Okay. So there we go. There we have a basic fill. I'm going to roll out a layer just on a thin setting, maybe a number 3 or number 4, where 0 is my thickest and a 9 is my thinnest. And then we'll wrap that around. So I'll do that, and then we can begin reducing. So I'll be right back. Let me roll out a little sheet. Okay, hopefully this is enough. I rolled out a little sheet and I cut it here to size. Yes, these are my knees under my big boyfriend t-shirt because it's getting late now. I didn't wait till the next day. I think it's like almost 11 o'clock at night. So I just got my t-shirt on. These are not boobs. No, these are my knees. It's kind of chilly. It's been really hot all day, but it's kind of chilly in my basement right now. This is where all my art stuff is, in the basement. So I tucked my knees up under my Jeep t-shirt. And yes, I'm 30 and I can still sit like that. I'm very proud that I can still sit like that. Someday it will hurt. It's starting to make my back hurt. I've actually been sitting like this for a little while. And cut your seam. And then we'll begin reducing. If you've watched any of my other tutorials, you know how I reduce. Even a round cane, I don't tend to roll it. I tend to pinch it. So let me just adjust this again. So we're going to start in the middle. I use my either this finger or this finger, and we're going to go around in a circle. And we're going to begin in the middle by giving it a waist. Kind of trying to do it at an angle where you can see it, but maybe I gotta move my legs almost. Yeah, I gotta move my legs. I can't sit like that. and do this. Okay. And I find for one of my leaves always gets squished, or like two of them will get squished more than another. Whatever. I'm not overly. The way I do pendants, I tend to layer them so you really don't notice that. I've not had anybody notice that. Why is this weird right now for me? I don't usually do it this way, but it seems funky for me. I'm having a hard time getting my fingers to work. And you don't want to squeeze, like really squeeze. You want to go slowly and just rotate slowly. Go, go, go. Once you get a little waste, you're going to begin to move up the edge. You see there's a waist there. You're going to start in the middle, work your way up slowly to the outer side. I'll do this one complete reduction size and then I'll show you before I pause. Okay, so that one's now what the middle was roughly. And we're going to start in the middle and we're going to go up to the end on this side. And I didn't condition this translucent. The inner clay was really soft, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what one we'll see what one distorts more, but whatever, we're always going to get some distortion on the end. So I don't sit there and waste my time conditioning the clay, translucent clay very much. Especially these ones, we've been playing with those inner ones, so now that they're both roughly into where the waist, maybe a little bit here, into where we pinch the waist in initially, I do a quick roll just to even it out, and then I can start pulling now that it's getting a little longer. I tend to start out with my canes only about an inch high for some reason. I just recently noticed that. So maybe pinch and pull a little bit, and then again start in the middle. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to reduce this down into one of my largest sizes that I like to use in pendants. I tend to at least have 3 sizes, a large, medium, and a small, and sometimes I go a little smaller depending on what I'm doing for a piece. So I will reduce this down to my largest one and then I'll show you guys that. And once you get going, especially since I let this rest for a few hours, it takes a second, but once it gets going, it's not too bad. And we're not getting a crazy amount of distortion so far. A little bit, but not a lot. So I'm going to continue on with that, and I'll be back when I get to my largest size. Okay, so I'm almost done. So I've never made this cane. Again, this is kind of a wing it kind of flower based off things I've seen. I did make a petal very similar to this a long time ago off of a tutorial, I think. But then I sliced them and I laid them onto something. I didn't actually put them together to make a cane. So this will be the first time I've seen this in a cane. So we'll see if it came out the way I wanted it to. You know, I hope this gives you a little confidence to try them, to try these canes out and not beat yourself up if they're coming out weird. Because honestly, say this comes out super horribly. Okay, what do we got? We got a little brown, we got some yellow, we got some white, and some translucent. Couldn't you just ball this up and use whatever color that is? Why not? You know, in another project. I mean, these colors aren't complementary colors. They're not colors that if you mix will give you mud. You know, or anything like that. Once it gets longer, you can also do this and kind of, I know this looks weird, but you can pull it and kind of smooth it off, and that will give you some length as well. Just kind of drag. My ends are getting a little thicker than my middle when I do that though. Just going to bring those down a little bit. And I will take, once I get this size done, I will take some of this. See how this is a little wider here? I will take some of this and then reduce it down more, and then I'll take some more and reduce it down more. So I at least have 3 sizes usually, but do it however you want in your projects. Okay, that's fairly even. You ready? Are you excited? Okay, I'm going to cut an, well, I'm not going to, well, yeah, I'll cut an end off. Let's see. Because they look more goofy on the end. I'm just rolling it because it's really soft. Oh, that's pretty. And again, that's still kind of the distorted end. Let's see if I can get it to focus. I think it's pretty. And in person, it looks better. Oh, that's cute. That's very cute. So then I'm going to take a hunk of this off. So there's further in. And I still got some spaces, but that's okay, because I would manipulate this anyway. So that's further in. And again, with these kind of flowers, I tend to overlap them on a project, just like my last pendant tutorial. So yes, one always looks bigger for me than the other ones. And you see these little, I was trying to find the best one to show you. You see right, focus, right here, that indent, that's where we put that little sausage of translucent, that one too. So on the edges of the petals, that's where we put those sausages. So that's what gives it like that little indented part. Okay, I'm going to reduce probably this hunk down a little bit more, and then I'll show you the last couple, and then I will be done with this tutorial. I'll be right back. Yeah, I just took from my smallest size. These are going to look beautiful. See, I don't like a thick layer of translucent, so I try to keep, why is it not focusing on this? I try to keep the outer layer fairly thin. Sometimes though, if you keep the outer layer too thin, your petals will get squished. It'll cut off the tips of your petals. So, but I don't like when I'm layering it in my pieces to see that circle of translucent. So here's my big, my medium, and my small. And I know there's still a little gap there in my big, but I'm not worried about that. I can deal with that later. Either by reducing it a tad bit more just to compress it together, or when I do my pendant, I can manipulate, when I cut a slice off, I can just kind of push it in and push it in, you know. So those are my 3. I don't know what I'm going to call it. I don't know what to call it. Skinner blend. Buttercup cane? Like a buttercup flower? The little yellow flowers that grow wild? I don't know. Anyways, I think it's very cute. I hope this was helpful. Again, I hope it gave you some inspiration. I hope it gives you ideas for your own that you can do. You know, take this, modify it, change it, and have fun. Just have fun. Okay? We'll use this in a project tutorial coming up. I think we'll use that one. Oh, and then this cane I made the other day, this one here, I did the same thing, but instead of a 5 petal, I did a 6 petal. This is just the end that I cut, so it's not the best looking. Because obviously on canes, the ends aren't that important, it's the middle. And so I did black and white, and then I outlined it in green before I put the translucent on. So we'll probably use this in one. So we have canes to do projects with. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. If you have any questions, please write it down or make a comment. Also, if it was helpful, please like and share, and let me know if you need anything. See ya.